Hi everyone, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I'm your host, Dr. Haider Shah. On behalf of Colwas, I would like to welcome all of you to this webinar. Thank you very much for joining us. Today we have another very interesting topic, and I'm really honored to welcome and introduce our distinguished guest speaker who is going to talk about sustainable development goals and innovative methods of teaching. What are the innovative methods? Since the world is evolving and we need to learn and prepare ourselves. Really, very interesting topic, and I'm sure in this session you are going to learn new amazing things. So you will get the best insights, right guidance, and suggestion about all the things which will create an impact and when enable you to learn and develop yourself in order to grow and transform individually. As our slogan is come, learn, and share knowledge. So before we start, I would like to thank the Kalwas for arranging such enlightenment sessions for their support and providing such a wonderful platform. The aim of Kalwas is to give you the opportunity to connect and interact with world-renowned speakers, academic leaders, teachers, authors, researchers, experts, professionals, and businessmen to learn from their experiences, recommendations, suggestions, and tips, which will create an impact and will enable you to learn and develop yourself in order to grow and transform individually, as to contribute to the world in a positive way. As our slogan is come, learn, and share knowledge. So today we have another amazing person as a guest who is highly capable and performing multitasks. He is an internationally known speaker with vast experience and from one of the leading institutions. He continuously contributes to the field and world in different positive ways. So let me introduce him formally. He's working as a professor and global educator, International Internship University, IIU. He started teaching at 16 and have been working in the field of education and research as a professor, scientist, counselor for 11 years. Uh, he taught more than 8,000 students and guided 4,000 plus career counseling to date, and the count is still on. Moreover, honored with 650 plus national, state, and international awards for his contribution in the field of teaching and research. He received 232 plus honorary doctorates from all over the world and also sets 15 world records. He has written many papers and articles in various international magazines, journals, and in books. He co-authored 7 books and written one book on sustainable development goals, which has got many international awards. In addition to that, he participated as a keynote speaker in many international organizations. Last but not the least, he is a wonderful international speaker, professor, trainer, teacher, educator, researcher, and above everything, a great human being. So please help me in welcoming our guest, Professor Dr. Pratik Rajan Manjekar. Welcome to the Kalvas platform, and thank you very much for joining us, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for your kind words.
It's so nice of you. It's really pleasure to have you. Before we get started, let me tell you about the format of this session. Professor Dr. Pratik will be presenting, and he will leave time for question and answer session at the end of the presentation. So if you have any question, you can write in comment section or you can email us info at the rate of kalwas.com. So let us get started. Over to you, sir.
Okay. Okay. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Please carry on. Thank you.
Okay. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, one and all present here. Myself, Professor Dr. Pratik Rajan Mungekar. And today, I would like to thank first Dr. Haider Shah and Kalwas for inviting me, for having me here. Heartfelt gratitude to Shah sir for inviting me and express my thoughts on this very important topic. On today's session, I'm going to cover two important and very interesting topics. First is sustainable development goals, and second topic is innovative methods of teaching. So let's begin with sustainable development goals. So this is my introduction. So, sustainable development goals. Now, what do you mean by sustainable development? Sustainable development is the idea that human societies must live and meet their needs without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. The official definition of the sustainable development was developed. This is the official definition, and this was developed for the first time in the Brundtland Report in 1987. So, what is sustainable development? With example, using recycled materials or renewable resources when building is an example of sustainable development. Building a new community in a previously undeveloped area without destroying the ecosystem or harming the environment is an example of sustainable development. Why is sustainable development important? The goal of sustainable development is to meet the needs of today without compromising the needs of tomorrow. This means we cannot continue using current levels of resources as this will not leave enough for future generations. Stabilizing and reducing carbon emissions is key to living within environmental limits. Very important. Next, what is sustainability and sustainable development? Sustainability is often thought of as a long term goal that is more sustainable world, while sustainable development refers to the many processes and pathways to achieve it. For example, sustainable agriculture, forestry, sustainable production, consumption, good government, research, technology transfer, education, and training. There are 17 sustainable goals which we will discuss later. So, what are the three pillars of sustainable development? So, economy, social, and environment. These are the three pillars of sustainable development. Now, in the year 2015, leaders from 193 countries of the world came together to face this future. And what they saw was daunting feminine drought, wars, plague, poverty, not just in some faraway place, but in their own cities and towns and villages. They knew things didn't have to be this way. They knew we had enough food to feed the world, but that is was not getting shared. They knew there were medicines for HIV and other diseases, but they cost a lot. They knew what earthquakes and floods were inevitable, but that the high death tolls were not. They also knew that billions of people worldwide share their hope for better future. So leaders from these countries created a plan called the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs. This set of 17 goals imagines a future just 15 years off that would be rid of poverty and hunger and safe from the worst effects of climate change. It's an ambitious plan. But there is a ample evidence that we can succeed in the past 15 years. The international community cut extreme poverty in half. Now we can finish the job. The United Nations Development Programs, UNDP, is one of the leading organizations working to fulfill the SDGs by the year 2030, present in nearly 170 countries and territories. We help nations make the this is the you can say aim, ambition, job. We help nations make the goals reality. We also champion the goals so that people everywhere know how to do their point. So, this is small introduction about sustainable development goal and the history or you can say background. So, these are just a minute. These are the 17 sustainable development goals. I just read end poverty, goal 1, goal 2, end hunger, goal 3, well being, goal 4, quality education, goal 5, gender equality, goal 6, water and sanitation for all, Goal 7, affordable and sustainable energy. Goal 8, decent work for all. Goal 9, technology to benefit all. Goal 10, reduce inequality. Goal 11, safe cities and communities. Goal 12, responsible consumption by all. Goal 13, stop climate change. 14, protect the ocean. Goal 15, take care of the earth. Goal 16, live in peace. And goal 17, mechanism and partnership for teaching goals. Now I will elaborate each goal. See, this is goal number 1, no poverty. End extreme poverty in all forms by 2030. This is the goal, first goal. Yes, it's an ambitious goal, but we believe it can be done. In 2000, the world committed to halving the number of people living in extreme poverty by the year 2015, and we made this goal. However, more than 800 million people around the world still live on less than 1.25 million a day, that sorry, a dollar a day. That's about the equivalent of 3 of the entire population of Europe living in extreme poverty. Now it's time to build on what we learn and end poverty altogether. So this is about goal 1. Now next is goal 2, which is zero hunger. End hunger. This is the tagline. End hunger, achieve food security, and improve nutrition and promote sustainable agriculture. In the past 20 years, hunger has dropped by almost half. Many countries that used to suffer from famine and hunger can now meet the nutritional needs of their most vulnerable people. It's an incredible accomplishment. Now we can go further and end hunger and malnutrition once and for all. That means doing things such as promoting sustainable agriculture and supporting small farmers. It's a tall order, but for the sake of the nearly 1 out of every 9 people on earth who go to bed hungry every night, we have got to try. Imagine a world where everyone has access to sufficient and nutritious food round all year round. Together, we can make that a reality by 2030. So this is about zero hunger. Next is good health and well-being. Goal number 3. Ensure healthy lives and promote well-being for all at all ages. We all know how important it is to be in good health. Our health affects everything from how much we enjoy life to what work we can perform. That's why there is a goal to make sure everyone has healthy coverage and access to safe and effective medicines and vaccines. In the 25 years before the SDGs, we made big strides. Preventable child death dropped by more than half, and maternal mortality went down by almost as much. And yet, some other numbers remain tragically high, like the fact that 6 million children die every year before their 5th birthday, or that AIDS is the leading cause of death for adolescents in sub-Sahara Africa and many other countries. We have the means to sum that around and make good health more than just a wish. Now, this is very important. Goal number 4, quality education. Ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. First, the bad news on education, poverty, armed conflict, and other emergencies keep many kids around the world out of school. In fact, kids from the poorest households are 4 times more likely to be out of school than those of the richest households. Now, for some good news, since 2000 onwards, there has been enormous progress on the goal to provide primary education to all children worldwide. The total enrollment rate in developing regions has reached 91%. By measures in any school, that's a good grade. Now, let's get an even better grade for all kids and achieve the goal of universal primary and secondary education, affordable vocational training, and access to higher education and more. Next is goal number 5, gender equality. Achieve gender equality and empower all women and girls. We can celebrate the great progress the world has made in becoming more prosperous and fair. But there is a shadow to that celebration. In just about every way, women and girls lag behind. There are still gross inequalities in work and wages. Lots of unpaid women's work, such as childcare and domestic work, and discrimination in public decision making. But there are grounds for hope. More girls are in school now compared to in 2000. Most regions have reached gender parity in primary education. The percentage of women getting paid for their work is on the rise nowadays. The Sustainable Development Goals aim to build on these achievements to ensure that there is an end to discrimination against women and girls everywhere. Goal number 6, clean water and sanitation. Ensure availability and sustainable management of water and sanitation for all. Everyone on earth should have access to safe and affordable drinking water. That's the goal for 2030. While many people take clean drinking water and sanitation for granted, many others don't. Water scarcity affects more than 40% of people around the world, and that number is projected to go even higher as a result of climate change. Very important issue. If we continue the path we're on by 2050, or at least 1 in 4 people are likely to be affected by recurring water shortages. But we can take a new path, more international cooperation, protecting wetlands and rivers, sharing water treatment technologies that leads to accomplishing this goal. Next goal is affordable and clean energy, which means ensure access to affordable, reliable, sustainable, and modern energy for all. Between 1990 and 2010, the number of people with access to electricity increased by 1.7 billion. That's progress to be proud of, and yet, as the world's population continues to rise, still more people will need cheap energy to light their homes and streets, use phones and computers, and do their everyday business. How we get that energy is an issue. Fossil fuels, then you can say greenhouse gas emissions are making drastic changes in the climate, leading to big problems on every continent. Instead, we can become more energy efficient and invest in clean energy sources such as solar and wind. That way, we will meet electricity needs and protect the environment. How that's for a balancing act. Next goal is decent work and economic growth, which means promote, sustain, inclusive, and sustainable economic growth, full and productive employment, and decent work for all. An important part of economic growth is that people have jobs that pay enough to support themselves and their families. The good news is that the middle class is growing worldwide nowadays, almost tripling in size in developing countries in the last 25 years to more than a third of the population. But today, job growth is not keeping pace with growing labor force. Things don't have to be that way. We can promote policies that encourage entrepreneurship and job creation. We can eradicate forced labor, slavery, and human trafficking. And in the end, we can achieve the goal of decent work for all women and men by 2030. This is their agenda. Next, goal number 9, industry, innovation, and infrastructure. Build resilient infrastructure, promote inclusive and sustainable industrialization, and foster innovation. Technological progress helps us address big global challenges, such as creating jobs and becoming more energy efficient. For example, the world is becoming ever more interconnected and prosperous thanks to the internet. The more connected we are, the more we can all benefit from the wisdom and contribution of people everywhere on earth. And yet, 4 billion people have no way of getting online. The vast majority of them is developing countries. The more we invest in innovation and infrastructure, the better off we all be. Bridging the digital divide, promoting sustainable industries, and investing in scientific research and innovation are all important ways to facilitate sustainable development. Goal number 10 is reduce inequalities, which means reduce inequality within and among countries. It's an old story. The rich get richer and the poor get poorer. The divide has never been starker. We can and must adopt policies that create opportunity for everyone, regardless of who they are or where they come from. Inequality is a global problem that requires global solutions. That means improving the regulation of financial markets and institutions, sending development aid where it is most needed, and helping people migrate safely so they can pursue opportunities. Together, we can now charge the direction of the old story of inequality. Next, sustainable cities and communities, which means make cities and human settlements inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable. If you are like most people, you live in a city. More than half the world's population now lives in cities. And that figure will go to about two-thirds of humanity by the year 2050. Cities are getting bigger. In 1990, there were 10 mega cities with 10 million inhabitants or more. In 2014, there were 28 megacities, home to 453 million people. Incredible. A lot of people love cities. They are centers of culture and business and life. The thing is, there are also often centers of extreme poverty. To make cities sustainable for all, we can create good, affordable public housing. We can upgrade settlements. We can invest in public transport, create green spaces, and get a broader range of people involved in urban planning decisions. That way, we can keep the things we love about cities and change the things we don't. Next goal, responsible consumption and production, which means ensure sustainable consumption and production patterns. Some people use a lot of stuff and some people use very little. In fact, a big share of the world population is consuming too little to meet even their basic needs. Instead, we can have a world where everybody gets what they need to survive and thrive. And we can consume in a way that preserves our national resources so that our children can enjoy them and their children after that. Generations. The hard part is how to achieve that goal. We can manage our national resources more efficiently and dispose of toxic waste better. Cut per capita food waste in half globally. Get businesses and consumers to reduce and recycle waste and help countries that have typically not consumed a lot to move towards more responsible consumption patterns. Next goal is climate action. Take urgent action to combat climate change and its impact. Every country in the world is seeing the drastic effects of climate change, some more than others. On average, the annual losses just from earthquakes, tsunamis, tropical cyclones, natural calamities, and flooding count in the hundreds of billions of dollars. We can reduce the loss of life and property by helping more vulnerable regions, such as landlocked countries and island states, become more resilient. It is still possible with the political will will and technological measures to limit the increase in global mean temperature to 2 degrees Celsius above the pre industrial levels and thus avoid the worst effects of climate change. The Sustainable Development Goals lay out a way for countries to work together to meet this urgent challenge. Goal number 14, life below water, which means conserve and sustainably use the oceans, seas, and marine resources for sustainable development. The oceans make human life possible. Their temperature, their chemistry, their currents, their life forms, for one thing, more than 3 billion people depend on marine and coastal diversity for their livelihoods. But today, we are seeing nearly a third of the world's fish stocks overexploited. That's not a sustainable way of life. Even people who live nowhere near the ocean can't live without it. Oceans absorbs about 30% of the carbon dioxide that humans produce, but we are producing more carbon dioxide than ever before, and that makes the oceans more acidic, 26% more since the start of the industrial revolution. Our trash doesn't help either. 30,000 pieces of plastic litter on every square kilometer of ocean sounds bad, right? Don't despair. The Sustainable Development Goals indicate targets for managing and protecting life below water. Next, goal number 15, life on land, which means to protect, restore, and promote sustainable use of terrestrial ecosystems, sustainably manage forest, combat desertification, and halt and reverse land degradation and halt biodiversity loss. Humans and other animals rely on other forms of life on land for food, clean air, clean water as a means of combating climate change. Plant life make up 80% of the human diet. Forest, which cover 30% of the Earth's surface, help keep the air and water clean and the Earth's climate in balance. That's not to mention there are home to millions of animal species. But the land and life on it are in trouble. Arable land is disappearing 30 to 35 times faster than it has historically. Deserts are spreading, animal breeds are going extinct. We can turn these trends around. Fortunately, the Sustainable Development Goals aim to conserve and restore the use of terrestrial ecosystems such as forest, wetlands, drylands, and mountains by 2030. Goal number 16, peace, justice, and strong institutions, means to promote peaceful and inclusive societies for sustainable development, provide access to justice for all, and build effective, accountable, and inclusive institutions at all levels. How can a country develop? How can people eat and teach and learn and work and raise families without peace? And how can a country have peace without justice, without human rights, without government based on the rule of law? Some parts of the world enjoy relative peace and justice and may come to take it for granted. Other parts seem to be plagued by armed conflict, crime, torture, and exploitation, all of which hinders their development. The goal of peace and justice is one for all countries to strive towards. The Sustainable Development Goals aim to reduce all forms of violence and propose that government and communities find lasting solutions to conflict and insecurity. That means strengthening the rule of law, reducing the flow of illicit arms, and bringing developing countries more into the center of institutions of global governance. And the last goal, which is partnerships for the goals, which means strengthen the means of implementation and revitalize the global partnership for sustainable development. The sustainable development goals are pretty big to do list, don't you think? In fact, it's so big, you may just want to throw your hands up in the air. Forget it, can't be done. Why even try? But we have got a lot going for us. The world is more interconnected today than ever before, thanks to the internet, travel, and global institutions. There are growing consciousness about the need to work together to stop climate change. And the Sustainable Development Goals are no small matter either. 193 countries agreed on these goals. Pretty incredible, isn't it? 193 countries agreeing on anything. The final goal lays out a way for nations to work together to achieve all other goals. So this is about, you can say, introduction to all these 17 sustainable development goals. Now next is impact of SDG, which is Sustainable Development Goals, and MDG. MDG is what? Millennium Development Goals. So the Millennium Development Goals were the stepping stone for the United Nations members to look for a developed and brighter future for their countries and the people living there. In 2000, the MDG was accepted, and the final report presented in 2015 clearly mentions the decrease in infant mortality rate, reduction of poverty, provision of safe drinking water, sanitation, and drastically improving the mental health of people. Following its footsteps, the Sustainable Development Goals are set to make the world a better place to live by 2030. The plan was accepted in 2015 and up till to 2020, the reports presented by the UNDP prove that various actions have been taken for the betterment of the nation and improvement in the livelihood of people across the world has been seen. The Sustainable Development Goals have resulted in the decline of the maternal mortality rate, reduce poverty, work for the improved health of the people, spread awareness about the communicable and non-communicable diseases, and also the vaccines required for children. Efforts are being taken for providing better medication to the world, and mental illness is also being taken as a major concern. Overall, the Sustainable Development Goals tend to make the world a better place to live by fulfilling its targets. In time of 15 years and remove poverty. Now, this is the conclusion. To sum it up, the sustainable development continuously seeks to achieve social and economic progress in ways which will not exhaust the earth's finite natural resources. Thus we must all develop ways to meet these needs so that our future generations can inherit a healthier and a greener planet. The SDGs are a global effort towards a socially just and environmentally sustainable future where no one is left behind. The COVID 19 pandemic has shown with devastating consequences some of what a future threatened by further pandemics or climate and ecological crisis could look like. So that's all about the sustainable development goals. Now I will like to move to next topic, which is innovative, my specialization, innovative and interactive techniques and methods of teaching. This topic is under goal number 4, quality education, basically. So, introduction. Now, education is a light that shows the mankind the right direction to search. The purpose of education is not just making a student literate, but adds rational thinking, knowledgeability, and self-sufficiency. When there is a willingness to change, there is hope for progress in any field. Creativity can be developed and innovation benefits both students and teachers. Why education is so important? Importance of education. Many people attaches such great importance to knowledge and education. When the Quran began to be revealed, or in the epics also, the first word of its first verse was Ikra, that is, read. Education is thus the starting point of every human activity. A scholar is accorded great respect in the hadith. According to a hadith, the link of the pain of scholar is more precious than the blood of martyr. The reason being that the martyr is engaged in defense work, while an scholar builds individuals and nations along positive lines. In this way, he bestows a real life to the world. Education is the manifestation of perfection already in man. This quote is one of the greatest leader of India, Swami Vivekananda, says education is the manifestation of perfection already in man. Education is a light that shows the mankind the right direction to search. If education fails to inculcate self-discipline and commitment to achieve in the minds of students, it is not their fault. We have to convert education into sport, and learning process has to generate interest in the students and motivate them to stay back in the institution than to run away from it. Education should become a fun and thrill to them rather than burden and boredom. It is an integral part of their growth and helps them to become good citizens. Education is an engine for the growth and progress of any society. It not only imparts knowledge, skills, and inculcate values, but is also responsible for building human capital, which breeds, drives, and sets technological innovation and economic growth. In today's era, information and knowledge stands out as very important and critical input for growth and survival. Rather than looking at education simply as a means of achieving social upliftment, the society must view education also as an engine of advancement in an information era propelled by its wheels of knowledge and research leading to development. Next, traditional teaching method and evaluation. In the pre technology education context, the teacher is the sender or the source. The educational material is the information or message, and the student is the receiver of the information. In terms of the delivery medium, the educator can deliver the message via chalk and talk. Methods and the delivery medium, the educator can deliver the message via chalk and talk, method and overhead projector OHP transparencies. This directed instruction model has its foundation embedded in the behavioral learning perspective, and it is popular technique which has been used for decades as an educational strategy in all institutions of learning, which is chalk and talk method. Basically, the teacher controls the instructional process. The content is delivered to the entire class, and the teacher tends to emphasize factual knowledge. In other words, the teacher delivers the lecture content and the students listen to the lecture. Thus, the learning mode tends to be passive and the learners play little part in their learning process. It has been found in most universities by many teachers and students that the conventional lecture approach in classroom is of limited effectiveness in both teaching and learning. In such a lecture, students assume a purely passive role and their concentration fades off after 15 to 20 minutes. So, these are some limitations which may prevail in traditional teaching method. Teaching in classroom using chalk and talk is one-way flow of information. Teachers often continuously talk for an hour without knowing students' response and feedback. The material presented is only based on lecturer notes and textbooks. Teaching and learning are concentrated on plug and play method rather than practical aspects. The handwriting of the lecturer decides the fate of the subject. There is insufficient interaction with students in classroom. More emphasis has been given on theory without any practical and real lifetime situations. Learning from memorization but not understanding. Marks rather than result oriented. So these are some limitations which may prevail in traditional teaching methods. Next, innovative tools, multimedia learning process. Confucius says, I hear and I forget. I see and I believe. I do and I understand. Multimedia is the combination of various digital media types such as text, images, audio, and video into an integrated multi-sensory interactive application or presentation to convey information to an audience. Traditional educational approaches have resulted in a mismatch between what is taught to the student and what the industry needs. As such, many institutions are moving toward problem-based learning as a solution to producing graduates who are creative, think critically and analytically to solve problems. In this paper, in this study, we focus on using multimedia technology as an innovative teaching and learning strategy in a problem-based learning environment by giving the students a multimedia project to train them in this skill set. Currently, many institutions are moving toward problem-based learning as a solution to producing graduates who are creative and can think critically, analytically, and solve problems. Since knowledge is no longer an end, but a means to creating better problem solvers and encourage lifelong learning Problem-based learning is becoming increasingly popular in educational institutions as a tool to address the inadequacies of traditional teaching. Since these traditional approaches do not encourage students to question what they have learned or to associate with previously acquired knowledge. Problems based learning is seen as an innovative measure to encourage students to learn how to learn via real life problems. The teacher uses multimedia to modify the contents of the material. It will help the teacher to represent in a more meaningful way using different media elements. These media elements can be converted into digital form, modified, and customized for the final presentation. By incorporating digital media elements into the project, the students are able to learn better since there are multiple sensory modalities, which would make them more motivated to pay more attention to the information presented and retain the information better. Creating multimedia project is both challenging and exciting. Fortunately, there are many multimedia technologies that are available for developers to create these innovative and interactive multimedia applications. These technologies include Adobe Photoshop and Premiere to create edit graphics and video files respectively. SoundForge, then 3D Studio Max to create and edit sound and animation files respectively. They can also use an authoring tool such as Macromedia Director or Authorware to integrate and synchronize all these media elements into one final application. Add interactive features and package the application into distributable format for the end user. Another advantage of creating multimedia projects in the classroom setting is that when students create multimedia projects, they tend to do this in a group environment. By working in a group, the students would have to learn to work cooperatively and collaboratively, using their group skills and a variety of activities to accomplish the project's overall objectives. Everyone is a genius, but if you judge a fish on its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing it is stupid. This is the quote of Albert Einstein. Next, what is modern teaching? The teaching method, which focuses more on teaching the students for improving their intellect behavior by using various new and innovative ideas, rather than making them recite the syllabus to clear the examination with the same old style, is modern teaching methods in simple words. The new teaching method, which we call the modern teaching method, is more activity based and centers the learner's mind, which involves them entirely into the process of learning. In the modern teaching method, curriculum, teaching, and planning are done keeping the learner as the primary target. Through this way, learners actively participate in the whole process to build their knowledge and sharpen their skills. This is also termed as constructivist approach. On the other hand, the mentor or teacher only leads them and guides them to focus on the objectives of the subject. This is all done by engaging in activities and by adopting innovative modern teaching methods. New demand of the era or the need of the hour for students is to embrace the contemporary teaching methods, which will also help in reducing the competition among the students, promote cooperation, and boost the healthy, you can say healthy study environment. Next, this is the multimedia learning and interactive learning process. So over the year, there have been many, you can say, visible changes in teaching style. Opposite to the memorization and same old recitation practice to teach the students, now with modern teaching methods, interactive methods of teaching have been introduced and its result can be seen. This is an education reform which provides an entirely different angle of teaching and learning because modern teaching methods do not treat all students at the same level of their understanding ability. Unlike the conventional method of teaching, Rather than the only teacher based, modern teaching methods focus more on questioning, demonstration, explaining, practical, collaboration methods, and more activity based. Now, reasons to introduce modern teaching methods. In recent years, the scope of knowledge in the field of science and technology has dramatically increased, and humans' ability to adapt to new knowledge in science and technology has also increased. So there is an immense need for innovative and creative minds to explore unknown and unrevealed areas of different fields. To cope up with the modern world and the knowledge driven era of technology, adopting modern ways are the only means to survive. So the students should be taught in a manner to tackle the 21st century, which is technology driven time and which requires creative and innovative minds for the progress of individuals, society, and nation. The students should be introduced with modern teaching methods and are provided sufficient knowledge so that they can create opportunities for themselves and others. Teachers still use a conventional chalk talk method in the classroom to teach students who can provide only basic knowledge of science and other subjects. Their approach can no longer be used as this is outdated, is with limited scope, and has been failed both at the nation and you can say personal level. If teachers teach with modern teaching methods instead of traditional impractical methods and present science lessons or any other subject lessons in a more proper scientific way, then many problems, including unemployment, can be overcome. All this can be achieved by providing a strong pillar to the basic education system and senior secondary school system. It requires an instant review of the curriculum, and it is the reason why modern teaching methods are introduced. Next, why modern teaching is the need of the hour. Education is the need of the hour as it creates a literate society, and in the process of educating the society, motivation and instructions are very crucial. And teachers, guides, and administrators are responsible to motivate learners. The rate of literacy will be leveled up by providing education to the most parts of society. However, with time being changed to an extent, learners demand new techniques and methods to gain knowledge which specializes them not only in theoretical study but ensure them to provide practical knowledge, very important, sharpen their skills and make them educated to face any kind of challenges. Modern teaching methods are the only way to meet the requirement of modern times. Relevance of modern teaching. Modern teaching unquestionably is the need of the hour because of its relevance in the modern era. The revolution in the field of science and technology demands great ideas and extensive effort to deal with any kind of circumstances coming in the way of development. All the load is on the little shoulders of learners. So it is a vital to give students not only knowledge but to improve their skills from the very beginning. Moving from reciting and memorizing to experimenting and experiencing. We have been seeing the concept of teaching in schools where teachers explain the topic and task students to recite and memorize the topic to the main motive of passing the examination and to acquire the certificate. Memorizing and reciting was the way of teaching which definitely helps to clear the exam, but it does not help further. On only experiencing and gaining practical knowledge will be helpful for further studies and life. In modern teaching, the focus is more on experimental study, and it is the need of the hour as well. Next is concept of innovation. Modern teaching encourages us to bring new ideas and introduce new concepts. Different methods of modern teaching aim towards creativity and innovative thoughts. It motivates learners to not follow conventional things but come up with innovations. That's the reason why modern teaching is laced with technical gadgets which can help learners to share their innovation and creativity. To strengthen the concept of innovation, modern teaching methods are best suited. Also, innovation in teaching methods plays an important, very important role to improve the quality of education, which is an endeavor this time. Now, characteristics of modern teaching methods. The modern teaching method helps to build or develop a productive understanding of basic science and technology. Hence, the elements of contemporary teaching methods include first, learner center. One of the essential characteristics of the modern teaching methods in basic science and technology is it is canter. It focuses on learners while using or applying during classroom and laboratory lectures. The teacher acts only as a guide, and all the learning process involves learners. Learners significantly appear as a dominator in classroom interactions. So, this is about learner centered method. Next is task based or activity based. The teacher or guide organizes activity or task and engages students to learn through this way. Hence, it is an activity based or commission based. Students are offered or asked to take part in classroom interaction through these interactive activities. Next method is resource based. Teachers or professors should be resourceful, very important. They should collect and distribute all the required study material to the learners for their learning or to understand the topic clearly. The resources can be collected from the school environment or any other place where it is available. Also, a learner can be the source to bring study material or resources from their end. Next is interactive in nature. One characteristic defines the modern teaching method as very interactive. The teacher asks the students to form small groups or work as individuals to perform the learning tasks and come up with the desired results. It helps them to gather knowledge from one another. Students learn to work together and a sense of cooperation. It also works in their favor when they step out in the outer world. Next is integrative in nature. One of the vital characteristics of modern teaching method is it is integrative. Teachers link topics of one subject, example, social science topics like drug use, domestic violence, safety, pollution, food, distribution, crime, etc., to other issues and make it integrative. By this, a learner can gain knowledge of more topics studying one. Next is peer collaboration. Modern teaching methods not only encourage students by allowing them to present their ideas or initiative by noticing their responses, studying their research, and allowing them to answer during interaction in classes, but also selects students based on interests, needs, and feelings. Through instructional activities, students learn to work cooperatively and they appreciate their competitors' work as well. In the curriculum, learners' interests are considered most important and they are guided towards their goals and careers. Next is modern teaching methods. First is like other fields, the phase of education has also evolved drastically over the period. Earlier, teachers were the only means to create a bridge between education and learners. They were using conventional pedagogical methods to explain the topic or to provide notes. However, modern education sees a vast scenario which encourages learners to study profoundly and study to satisfy their curiosity. In recent years, we are getting introduced with different modern teaching methods, and the introduction of technology along with innovative ways to teach has brought a revolution in the education sector. So let's discuss which new teaching methods are. So these are following are, you can say, the modern teaching methods. Collaborative learning. Earlier, when students were asked to revise the topic or syllabus during an examination or regular days, they used to revise the syllabus in isolation or at home. This practice was widespread in traditional teaching method. To deal with this issue or provide a more useful platform for students, schools are coming up with an with collaborative learning. In this modern teaching method, teachers form a group of students where they can solve their problem, debates, and on topics and clear their queries. This helps in developing social skills and allows students to understand the subject faster. In this, just a minute. In this modern teaching method, every student is a part of the success of a group as they help each other to reach the desired result. And they also learn to communicate with each other. Learners learn to tolerate others, develop skills to listen to others, and how to work in a team. They will be able to meet different personalities and can get a genuine review of their work. Students present their ideas and expect a response when they are in group learning. It allows them to exchange their creativity and gain more knowledge. In return, it helps them to learn to face healthy criticism and cross questions. So school management should choose to take up a collaborative method of, you can say, teaching to teach their students. They just need to make a few changes in the layout of the classroom. Replace desks to whiteboard surfaces so the groups can work together with ease. Next method is spaced learning. Spaced learning is one of the modern teaching methods which is being followed by teachers. In this method, teachers repeat a lesson multiple times, basically until the students understand entirely. However, the teacher repeats the course with two 10-minute spaces, breaks in between the lessons. The gap is meant to refresh the mind by playing physical activities or mindfulness techniques, which prepares them for the next session of the same lesson. This method gives the students interval to inherit the knowledge and create connections between learnings. Before moving forward to another chapter, this method prepares the students with basics. It truly defines a proverb that a healthy mind is in a healthy body. So the physical state of students should be sufficient to the growth of mental state, which is crucial to gain knowledge. Spaced learning also has a scope to reduce obesity in school going children, which can be seen more nowadays. It improves both mental and physical health of a student. Next technique is flipped classroom. Flipped classroom is a well-known term in the pedagogical method. You have known about this undoubtedly. Its name, flipped classroom, makes it unique. It is one of the very vital modern teaching methods that has been in use these days. In this method of teaching, the teaching procedure takes place in flipped manner, as the name suggests. As unlike traditional ways, students study new material or content at home by themselves and practice the same at school. The method is the reverse of providing content at school and asks students to rework on it or practice it at home. The students practice this method at home by watching a video tutorial, search online, or work on the content usually shared by the teacher. They do not need to complete the homework at home, instead, they end it at school. Through the practice of flipped classroom, modern teaching methods, students get enough time to grasp the topic, unlike schools where they get only a few minutes to understand the content. If necessary, they can work more on one issue. Students prepare themselves with the content before arriving in school. And if they face any doubt, They can discuss it in the classroom or ask the concerned teacher. They can also suggest their ideas related to the content and share it with other classmates. Moreover, there is another advantage of this modern teaching method, that students would not have to suffer due to their sickness. Sick days will not interpret their learning. Next method is self learning. Curiosity pushes the learner to learn new and more always. It drives the learners to learn and memorize large spaces of the text that they will either miss gratefully or forget immediately. Through their curiosity, students get motivated to explore the subjects they are interested in. Teaching students to operate the internet and find results themselves helps them to be self dependent and gives them a deep understanding of the content. A teacher should allow the students to bring new ideas and work on it for the development of their brain and ability to work alone. This modern teaching method plays a significant role in learners' period of education. Next method is gamification. It is a well known fact that children love games. Either it is online games or playing games at the field. Teaching through games is one of the essential modern teaching methods that has been in use under modern teaching ways. The significance of gamification in teaching has mostly been seen in the elementary and preschool system. Learning through playing games will not be even realized by students. It motivated students as well and prove effective not only to the students of preschool but of any age. The responsibility of teaching through gamification is of teachers, as they should plan or design projects that will be suitable for the students of their respective age. They should incorporate attractive measures to connect the students for a longer time and keep their interest alive. Teachers can also take help of the online platform under gamification. Teachers can organize online quiz, puzzles, or brain games. This modern teaching method is fun learning method to teach. Next is WAC teaching, VAK, is a modern teaching method whose effects can be seen clearly. We divide learner into three categories: visual, V stands for visual, A stands for audio, and K stands for kinesthetic. Kinesthetic, matlab, you mean movement. Okay, so visual, audio, and movement. One needs to recognize to which category they belong to, or the teacher must know to which category her students relate to. In WAC, V is visual, means seeing the data. A is audio, means gathering information by hearing the data. And K is kinesthetic, means feeling the data. Movement. A teacher should keep the category of students in kind while teaching, because some students catch the information by seeing, by hearing, or by feeling. So they should present the same material in different ways. The WAC teaching method was introduced in 1920s to help children with dyslexia. However, its impact is more effective in the modern era. In the time of the internet, watching and learning through videos has become a popular new medium of teaching. Students grasp fast when they see, hear, or feel instead of reading the material. And also, a learner is not limited to any one of the media, as they can use even all three mediums of instructions. Next method is crossover learning. The not so common modern teaching method is crossover learning, which uses both formal and informal teaching and learning environments. It is one of the perfect ways to give the best education to learners. Crossover learning effectively engages learners and provides authentic yet innovative results. A formal setting is traditional setting, that is classroom to provide education, while the informal environment of teaching is museums, seminars, and after school places. Schools and colleges, each with content, study material, and use everyday experiences to add knowledge. On the other hand, informal learning generates curiosity and interest and increases understanding by asking questions to their teachers. Teachers should introduce new queries or questions in the formal setting and answers for which students should try to find in informal settings, such as by exploring that question on their museum visit. The learners can take notes or collect pictures as their data and produce them as the information once they back in the classroom. They can share collected information with other classmates and can discuss it for better results. Next is cognitive thinking skills. The modern teaching system doesn't entirely rely on spoon feeding techniques, which used to be a part of the ordinary teaching system. The current methods are wired to develop the cognitive thinking skills of the children, which in terms of the standard teaching system out of the question. The cognitive skills can be explained as the primary skills associated with the functioning of the brain, from the ability to read, the ability to learn and memorize are a part of the cognitive skills which lay connected to the brain. Strong cognitive skills of the students reflect in their decision making, and problem analytical skills contribute to their IQ growth and also plays a useful role in improving memory power. Next is bringing prefrontal cortex into life. The prefrontal cortex of the brain is usually affected by uncontrollable stress and depression. This part plays a significant role in the speech outcome, behavioral outcome, expressive outcome, etc., which are essential functions of the brain. It is also useful with the memory boost and thinking abilities of an individual. The modern teaching techniques, like said, focuses more on the core thinking abilities and hence activates the perfect mechanism of the prefrontal cortex. The functions of the prefrontal cortex are considered superior and triggering them would be the best explored advantage of these modern teaching techniques. Therefore, it is an obvious and one of the most significant merits that come along with the implementation of modern teaching methods. Next, exploring things. Exploration of things where the interest lies in is an essential part of personal development. The process also provokes self learning and makes sure it is directed in the right amount. The practice of the modern teaching methods provokes this same set of interests, which are to be explored by the students with proper and enough assistance from the teachers. Exploring the things on one's own is one of the most productive initiatives by an individual, and the maximum possible support from an efficient teaching system make sure that the process is fruitful and dynamic. The modern teaching methods believe in providing them with enough freedom, flexibility, and facilities to explore their interest. Developing unique patterns of learning. Learning is the primary objective of teaching, and the methods used for education initiate its own purposes for making the learning process much more productive and beneficial. Therefore, one of the primary objective of the strategies implemented according to the modern teaching focuses more on developing unique patterns of learning. The process or the most efficient methods of learning differs a lot between different individuals, and most importantly, this is where the methods of modern teaching apply to its full potential. By developing unique and tailor-made patterns of learning, the techniques of modern teaching make sure that the individual minds are adequately catered with the right way and methods of knowledge, which will eventually make their learning process productive of its core. Application-based skills. The application-based skills refers to the practicability of the skills. And these are directly based on the actual practice of the skills learned and acquired from the teaching process. The modern teaching methods employ a completely different approach, a variant one from the old school theoretical practices. This mostly focus on the applicability of the skills and the individual's learning and acquiring practical experience of the same. Application based education is one of the most influential and productive types of education systems compared to the theoretical studies. Since the old teaching methods had limitations with practical knowledge, they relied mostly on the theoretical part. The implementation of the modern teaching techniques automatically drives out the unnecessary need for the theoretical part, substituting it with the application based skills. Learning relevantly to the interesting needs. One of the significant purposes of education is to make the individuals competent enough to face the changing environment. And for that, they need to be efficient enough. The modern education system highly focuses on this and makes them efficient enough to tackle the adversities of the increased needs which are relevant to the environment. Now, next is methodologies that every 21st century teacher should know. The modern education system prevailing in this 21st century requires advanced methodologies that would create a unique and progressive space for them compared to the older educational methods. The 21st century teaching methodologies have developed new horizons of learning which the participant should explore. As a participant of the same advanced education system, the teacher should also take the practical methodologies and the perks of the same into consideration. For that, they need to know and clear about specific methods. First, project-based learning. In the older methods of the education system, the projects were merely a part of the curriculum which appeared for nonsense. The plans were thoroughly focused on theoretical and fundamental education, but the idea of project-based learning makes more sense in the 21st century education system. Also, this is something which the teacher should consider as a part of the modern education system. The projects refer to the tasks given to the students entirely associated with the field they are pursuing. They are provided with practical case studies which require the application of their skill set and knowledge to provide an optimum solution to the problem. These are challenged through the types of projects included in the project-based learning system. Next is cooperative learning. The idea of cooperative learning or collaborative learning, just as its name suggests, it is based on concept of teamwork and collective efforts. It brings in the importance of being a part of the team and how the individual actions are adequately guided toward the achievement of the organizational goals. It is more a value-based approach where the students understand the role played by each of their team members in completion of the task. Each member of the team is assigned with a particular set of activities which they need to accomplish before the deadline. They all work towards a common organizational goal which needs all their efforts for achieving the same with perfection. Next is problem-based learning. The next comes in the problem-based learning, which comprises a whole set of activities under the tag of problem and providing solutions, which will enhance the skills and knowledge of the students to a greater extent. This will also provoke their enthusiasm level and initiate the problem-solving aspect of the thinking in their minds. According to the problems-based learning system, the teachers allow the students with a particular set of problems that will challenge their learnings and the acquired skills so far. The students need to solve the problem using their intelligence, and this also serves as an efficient technique, which is the next generation teachers need to follow. Design thinking. Next is design thinking. Education provides all the powerful platforms that promote innovation and creativity inside the students. Therefore, design thinking and its purpose is nothing else than the promotion of innovative ideas and create activities in the minds of the students. This will give them a newfound enthusiasm to enter into the curriculum and bring up their best. The teachers who are about to apply the modern teaching methods can make use of defined thinking approach in order to promote innovative ideas among the students. They can be offered with a particular set of questions or problems, you can say, that triggers their creative mindset and forces them to pull out some successful innovative solutions to the issue. Next is thinking based learning. Undoubtedly, the older educational system made use of methods which froze the need for practical thinking and focused more on the theoretical and hearting approach towards the learning. The idea of thinking based learning has proven to be far more efficient and flexible than the former and the successful one in a variety of aspects. Under the thinking based learning approach, the students are offered with a set of questions which will challenge their memory level or similar to the design thinking method, making them focus more on the analytical and logical approach to face the problem. The solutions will be practical, unique, customized to the conditions, and something which is totally not related to the textbook solutions. Next is competency based learning. The competencies refer to the tactical skills of the students which they want to learn and acquire, are in the process of learning and developing, or the ones which they have already accomplished. This type of learning focuses on the benefits provided by the acquirements of core competencies or the skills they prefer to learn and how it is delivered to the students. And last is conclusion. After a detailed, you can say, study of different teaching methods, we cannot say which pedagogical way of teaching is better. Both traditional teaching methods and modern teaching methods have their pros and cons. They are similar but also different from each other. Modern teaching methods should consider conventional method of teaching as its base, and learners should not neglect it completely while incorporating the new ones. However, modern teaching methods are suitable for the current century to cope up with surroundings and environments. Teachers are introducing different innovative ideas to explain the content to learners. Also, it is the responsibility of teachers to teach students with suitable and modern methods. It is a teacher who plays a vital part in students' success. So it becomes the duty of teacher to take a step towards accepting modern methods of teaching. To provide a sound education, there should be an amalgamation of a skilled teacher and innovative ways of teaching, so that students will be ready with not only theoretical knowledge but also with practical experience of subjects to face the world and compete against their competitors. In short, the inclusion of modern teaching methods in this time is necessary as it opposes the idea of traditional forms of repetition and memorization of the syllabus to educate students. To develop decision making skills, problem solving skills, and critical thinking ability, modern teaching methods are best suited. The new ways of teaching make students more productive and encourage them to collaborate. Both methods are effective, but which will be done during this time is the question. And clearly, the importance of modern teaching methods can be felt clearly. Across the world, information technology is dramatically altering the way students, faculty, and staff learn and work. Internet ready phones, handheld computers, digital cameras, and MP3 players are revolutionizing the college life. As the demand for technology continues to rise, colleges and universities are moving all sorts of student services, from laundry monitoring to snack delivery online. So one of the example at Columbia University, a real-time web-based service called Laundry View lets students log onto web-based system to see which washing machines are free before they head to the laundry room. They can monitor their wash and can even program the service to email them when their load is done. Technology is also changing the classroom experience. The information and communication technology has made many innovations in the field of teaching and also made a drastic change from the old paradigm of teaching and learning. In the new paradigm of learning, the role of student is more important than teachers. The concepts of paperless and painless classroom are emerging as an alternative to the old teaching learning method. Nowadays, there is a democratization of knowledge, and the role of the teacher is changing to that of facilitator. We need to have interactive teaching, and this changing role of education is inevitable with the introduction of multimedia technology and the swarming of technologically savvy generation of youths. The analysis reveals some of the suggestions that the teaching community can practice in the classrooms. Ultimately, the teaching people are satisfied when he could reach the students' community with his ideas and views. So, teaching depends upon successful communication and innovation through we mean the changes that we propose to be included in our medium of communication, or even inclusion of some other elements in communicating information. The researchers recommend that the teaching would be highly effective if the teachers start to use the recent multimedia technologies like uses of computer extensively, or internet, or some modifications in the conventional mode of teaching. The use of computers, internet, laptops, tablets, mobiles may be very well practiced in the environment where the use of such technology is highly possible. But there must be some sort of innovation which can also be practiced in an environment where such use of technology is on its way to growth. In those environments, use of humor, role-playing words approach, Z2A approach are the ideas that can very well be practiced. The researchers believe that the core objective, or we believe that basically the core objective of teaching is passing on the information or knowledge to the minds of the students. Any method using computers or modifying the existing conventional chalk talk method are innovative, very important. Any method using computers or modifying the existing conventional chalk talk method are innovative if they ultimately serve the attainment of core objective of teaching. And lastly, thank you. So I think I have covered all the teaching methods and points.
Thank you
Please
very
continue.
much, sir. It was so wonderful to see, and the way you started it right from the SDG and their orientation towards what are the different goals of SDG, which is very important, the 17 goals, and you explained it very well in a proper way. And then you linked with the SDG goal for the quality education, and then you started the innovative methods, covering its importance, the definition, the different traditional methods, and particularly the new methods, which was so awesome. Your content was so wonderful. What I loved a lot is your energy level, which was very wonderful. It was just continuously flowing, and you kept us in captivating. That was so nice to see that how grip you have, and how good command you have on the subject. That's very wonderful, and that's the beauty of the expert, that they keep on seeing the different things and they connect the different things, and you did the fantastic job. Thank you very much for such a
Thank
wonderful
you. Thank you.
presentation. Yeah. Now we have some questions
One,
for you.
yeah. See,
Yes, please,
one
please,
more thing I need to
please,
mention. So sorry,
please.
I have another conference in next five
No worries.
minutes. So I would like to request
Okay.
to all audience and you to
Yes.
just give me the questions on you can say a paper format or written. I'll answer each and every questions because
Fine,
the
fine,
another
fine. That's
conference.
completely fine. We do
All are
understand
waiting.
your limitations. So let us just wrap up. What is your message to the our viewers as a teacher, researcher, educator? Yes, please.
Yeah, I already mentioned my last sentence is very important. I repeat, the we teachers believe that core objective of teaching is passing on the information, rather specifically knowledge. There is a difference in information and knowledge. that we will I'll explain later on in the upcoming events. But we teachers, that the core objective of teaching is passing on the knowledge to the minds of the students. Any method using any you can say facilities or techniques, methods, or you can say existing conventional chalk talk method, you can use any teaching methods, but they should be they are innovative if they ultimately serve the attainment of core objective of teaching. So our objective, our aim is very clear: teaching. Okay. So nowadays, I would like to suggest to all teachers, they should be you can say all teachers should be innovative, and they should adapt all these techniques. And not only adapt, they need to implement in the universities or in the classrooms also. That is very important. And lastly, don't worry and be happy. This is my message to all the viewers, audiences, and all the teacher professors or the
Yes, thank you
speakers.
very much for such a
Thank
wonderful
you.
message to the world. Indeed, sustainable development goals and innovative methods of teaching are very challenging and very essential for us, and we need to update ourselves because of the ever changing world and with the advancement in technology. The great wisdom, a wonderful suggestion shared by the guest speaker. Do follow the distinguished guest speaker through his research work, and you can email him for future learning and guidance. He's very generous and always ready to help the people. So that is
Yes, yes.
all we have time for today. Thank you once again, Professor Dr. Pratik Rajan Mungekar. And I would also like to thank our audience who joined us. If you have any additional question about the information shared today, please email us or
Just,
connect to the
yes,
speaker
yes.
directly
Just
through his
email.
email
These are
or
my
social media.
details. So
Yes.
sorry to interrupt
And
you.
thank you
These are
all
my
for your
details.
support and
Okay.
liking our sessions. Stay
Yes,
tuned
yes. You
as
can
many
contact me
sessions
on
are
my
available.
yes, yes. You can
Yes,
contact
please.
me on my number, my mail
Yeah.
address. Everything is written in the slide.
Yes,
So
surely, surely. And we will
feel
also be
free to
sharing
ask
your
any
details with them.
question. Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
thank you
Feel
so
free to ask
much
any
and
question
take care of
regarding.
yourself. Yeah, take care of
Thank you.
yourself.
Thank you.
Next session, take care.